Hey, everybody. Welcome to the VAU Mic Check Eclipse Day. Because, as we all know, this afternoon we spent some time staring at the sky, watching the sun get darkened. And now, let's lighten up everybody's day with a really cool piece of copy and do some voiceover. So, without any further ado, we have this piece of copy, Linguini and Bob Restaurant. And now this thing's a bit tongue-in-cheek. It does have a bit of an announcer thing at the end of it. So more than likely, originally it was written to have a different style once you get done clucking like a chicken. But, there's a little bit of, there's a lot of comedic timing involved. And for reference, think Monty Python. If any of you youngins out there know anything about Monty Python,
I don't want to go in the cart.
the good classic stuff. So, of course, hey, I'm from that era. But anyway, who wants to take this thing first?
I'd like to try.
He prepared with his water. All right, then. Take it away, Philip.
All right. When dining formally, in order to avoid an embarrassing utensil faux pas, observe the following protocol. Begin by locating the seafood fork which lies horizontally across your plate. Grasping this fork between thumb and forefinger, proceed to shove it in the ear of the person directly to your left. Next, to impress business associates, stick your soup spoon up your nose and exclaim, "Look at me, I'm a bowl of soup." When the entree arrives, use the butter spreader to catapult particularly juicy portions onto the balding heads of nearby diners. And finally, quietly finish with the dessert utensils found at the top of your plate. All the while, of course, making odd gurgling noises and clucking like a chicken. This lesson in table etiquette has been brought to you by Linguini and Bob, who invite you to enjoy serious Italian food in a not-so-serious atmosphere. Linguini and Bob, now open at Butler Square in Minneapolis.
That was interesting. You gave it the announcer twist all the way through.
Oh, well. I mean, I sort of read it as, I guess, something of an instructional video, maybe.
It sounded like e-learning with a comical twist.
So,
Let's see. How was it? I'm just trying to think of this. I mean, there's a. Have you watched a whole lot of British comedy?
darn it. I'm trying to bring up, like, I didn't watch a whole lot of Monty Python besides Life of Brian and Graham Chapman's Funeral. I watched a little bit of the Flying Circus skits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Flying Circus sketches are what this kind of has the feel of. So don't be afraid to let yourself go a little bit more.
Oh.
So, I mean, really, it's kind of, it actually added to the funny when you did that way, though, because it's like, people are reading this or they're hearing this and they're thinking, this sounds like they're thinking e-learning, and all of a sudden it's like,
please grab this fork and shove it into the ear of the person right next to you.
It's like, this is an interesting twist. I mean, overall, you did a fantastic job with keeping it together. But I'm saying, okay, from when to chicken, through that whole part, find a character.
Oh.
And then flip from that character to your announcer. You did fantastic with. I mean, the announcer thing you stuck with, you know, but kind of, feel free to play with us a little bit more.
Okay.
And go.
When dining formally, in order to avoid an embarrassing utensil faux pas, observe the following protocol. Begin by locating the seafood fork which lies horizontally across your plate. Grasping this fork between thumb and forefinger, proceed to shove it in the ear of the person directly to your left. Next, to impress business associates, stick your soup spoon up your nose and exclaim, "Look at me! I'm a bowl of soup!" When the entree arrives, use the butter spreader to catapult particularly juicy portions onto the balding heads of nearby diners. And finally, quietly finish with the dessert utensils found at the top of your plate. All the while, of course, making odd gurgling noises and clucking like a chicken. This lesson in table etiquette has been brought to you by Linguini and Bob, who invite you to enjoy serious Italian food in a not-so-serious atmosphere. Linguini and Bob, now open at Butler Square in Minneapolis.
Fantastic. That was a nice blow Granny out of her chair. Look at me, I'm a bowl of soap.
Glad you liked it.
Well, that's good. You took the direction and ran with it.
Yeah. I was just trying to trying to think of where are the best places to break it and lose it.
Well, that's the whole thing about this script is that there's a lot of losing it up until clucking like a chicken. And once it hits that period, you're in announcer mode, which, I mean, nowadays announcer mode's a little bit more relaxed, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But that was fantastic.
Oh, well, thank you.
And it looks like we lost somebody. Uh-oh.
Yeah, one person has an internet problem. The other person, I don't know yet. She'll probably be back.
Oh, yeah, Taki will probably be back. Definitely. Well,
I guess that means I'm up.
Yes, you are.
yes. You're up, Dan.
All righty. You can hear background people talking because there's customers in here too.
Tell them
When dining formally, in order to avoid... Go ahead. Sorry.
I was about to tell you to tell them to go outside and look at the sun for a little while and then come back.
Nah. They'll enjoy it.
Oh, well.
When dining formally, in order to avoid an embarrassing utensil faux pas. Uh-oh. What?
Okay.
I've got people yelling at me now.
All right, Dan.
Run with it. Just
Go.
run with it.
When dining formally, in order to avoid an embarrassing utensil faux pas, observe the following protocol.
Begin by locating the seafood fork which lies horizontally across your plate. Grasping this fork between thumb and forefinger, proceed to shove it into the ear of the person directly to your left. Next, to impress business associates, stick your soup spoon up your nose and exclaim, "Look at me! I'm a bowl of soup!" When the entree arrives, use the butter spreader to catapult particularly juicy portions onto the balding heads of nearby diners. And finally, quietly finish with the dessert utensils found at the top of your plate. All the while, of course, making odd gurgling noises and clucking like a chicken.
This lesson in table etiquette has been brought to you by Linguini and Bob, who invite you to enjoy serious Italian food in a not-so-serious atmosphere. Linguini and Bob, now open at Butler Square in Minneapolis.
All right. I was sort of imagining like a robot reading like the first 2/3.
Well, that was the network issues, but I heard Mr. Woodchuck in there. You're not secretly Dave Coulier, are you?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Well, it was interesting because you started with your signature voice, and then somewhere between dropouts, I heard it change.
Yeah, I'm on satellite, so my internet's not the greatest.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is somewhere along the way, one of you,
the opening announcery.
yeah, one of you changed your character mid-line. Now, the best practice for that is to grab your character and use what you got to the end, and then do something different on the next take. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're flipping from character to character, but in this case, you know, it's a single read with one single person.
I was doing the announcery voice for the opening, all the way up to the following protocol, and then from there it was another character reading, and then at the end it was the announcery voice again.
Okay. Yeah, the dropout, I didn't catch that. It dropped out between protocol and then where it picked back up again. So I didn't know how you had done that. So thanks for explaining that. That was a good choice.
Yeah, well, like I said,
I understand. I have wrestled with network issues in here before. Well,
Another go?
You want me to get another shot, or is the drop out an issue?
oh yeah, no. Take another line. Take another take at it.
Safe for safety.
Let me go get this guy a beer real quick.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
My ventilation is not working like it should tonight.
Oh man, starting to heat up a little.
Oh,
All righty.
there we go.
All right.
I is back.
All right.
Yes, you is.
When dining formally, in order to avoid embarrassing utensil faux pas, observe the following protocol.
Begin by locating a seafood fork which lies horizontally across your plate. Grasping this fork between thumb and forefinger, proceed to shove it into the ear of the person directly to your left. Next, to impress business associates, stick your soup spoon up your nose and exclaim, "Look at me! I'm a bowl of soup!" When the entree arrives, use the butter spreader to catapult particularly juicy portions onto the balding heads of nearby diners. And finally, quietly finish with the dessert utensils found at the top of your plate. All the while, of course, making odd gurgling noises and clucking like a chicken.
This lesson in table etiquette has been brought to you by Linguini and Bob, who invite you to enjoy serious Italian food in a not-so-serious atmosphere. Linguini and Bob, now open at Butler Square in Minneapolis.
Okay, here's what I want you to do. And I want you to read this entire thing as a human character.
Okay.
Because now let's remember, voiceover is not always about funny voices, but being in character, just to be in character.
Yeah.
To say, here's your direction: is put on your best John Cleese.
Oh dear.
Oh no.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't do the British accent, I get that, but just try for that style, okay? Because normally, this is what they would do in a situation like this. The spec would say, sounding like John Cleese, which they don't mean doing an impression of, but in the style of how he feels when he does it. Okay?
You have to take everything seriously.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I can do that.
And go.
When dining formally, in order to avoid an embarrassing utensil faux pas, observe the following protocol. Begin by locating the seafood fork which lies horizontally across your plate. Grasping this fork between thumb and forefinger, proceed to shove it into the ear of the person directly to your left. Next, to impress business associates, stick your soup spoon up your nose and exclaim, "Look at me! I'm a bowl of soup!" When the entree arrives, use the butter spreader to catapult particularly juicy portions onto the balding heads of nearby diners. And finally, quietly finish with the dessert utensils found at the top of your plate. All the while, of course, making odd gurgling noises and clucking like a chicken. This lesson in table etiquette has been brought to you by Linguini and Bob, who invites you to enjoy serious Italian food in a not-so-serious atmosphere. Linguini and Bob, now open at Butler Square in Minneapolis.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
You sounded authoritative, yet not so serious. See, because most of the time when you see a piece of copy like this, they're not looking for a cartoon character, but they are looking for a character. You know, and that's the biggest thing about what we do, because even with commercial copy, and I kind of brought this up last week, no matter what you're doing, you're acting and you're portraying a character. You know, and believe me, I am the king of over the top and cartoony. I'm notoriously cartoony with most of the stuff that I do. Just listen to my radio spots. But there's another side to that where like the character act, but not be cartoony. But it can still be funny and still have comedic timing to it. You see what I'm saying?
That was actually kind of fun. I want to hear that in all.
You'll definitely get to hear that again on the replay. So
Yeah, I listened to mine from last week. Oh my God, that was scary.
yeah, and you know, it can be a little bit unnerving because it's like, oh my goodness, you know, is this the first time you like really tried to do something like that, or how long have you been in this?
About a year.
Okay.
And no, it's the first time.
So I see that's the thing though. I mean, and there's the lesson in it right there, is being able to do something, and it's not always what you think it's going to be. You know, I mean, here we don't have the spec all the time, you know, and sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Most times we don't. And you have to take your clues from the script. So that's why it's like, okay, I'm giving direction with this. So you knew from when to chicken, okay, I've got to be on with the funny. Doesn't always mean funny voice. You know, because one, voiceover, it's not about your voice. It's really about performance, about acting. And it's one of those things where your voice, yeah, it's the vehicle we use. It's the tool we use, just like the microphone you're using to get your voice through. But it's about everything else. Your acting, your body language, how you're breathing, you know, and it all comes together in a nice, neat little package of the delivery that you just gave. And that was a fantastic delivery. And Takia, are you ready? Takia? Okay, she may not be.
Oh, wait, there you are.
Hello. Yeah, sorry about the whole dropout thing. My laptop acted weird. So I had to refresh my stuff, and I'm back.
Understandable. We'll blame it on the eclipse.
Nice. I think I may have to read over it once more, and then I'll be ready.
Okay, well, then I'll take it first, and then you can go.
All right.
Now it's Nathan's turn. When dining formally, in order to avoid an embarrassing utensil faux pas, observe the following protocol. Begin by locating the seafood fork which lies horizontally across your plate. Grasping this fork between the thumb and forefinger, proceed to shove it into the ear of the person directly to your left. Next, to impress business associates, stick your soup spoon up your nose and exclaim, "Look at me! I'm a bowl of soup!" When the entree arrives, use the butter spreader to catapult particularly juicy portions onto the balding heads of nearby diners. And finally, quietly finish with the dessert utensils found at the top of your plate. All the while, of course, making odd gurgling noises and clucking like a chicken. This lesson in table etiquette has been brought to you by Linguini and Bob, who invite you to enjoy serious Italian food in a not-so-serious atmosphere. This lesson in table etiquette has been brought to you by Linguini and Bob, who invite you to enjoy serious Italian food in a not-so-serious atmosphere. Linguini and Bob, now open at Butler Square in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to do a second take on that line because I squeaked. After a while of doing this, you start learning to hear yourself. And it's like you'll hit something and it's like, I know what I just did. I got to take a pickup.
All right. I mean, I like the John Cleese impersonation. Like, it was like super serious and kind of punchy, I suppose. Like, almost like it's like he's shoving the instructions in your face.
One of my favorite shows, and I think it's highly influenced me on how I do pieces of copy like this, is Faulty Towers. If you've never seen that series, it's only 2 seasons long, but it is hilarious through and through. Funny to the core. And watching John Cleese perform and listening to how he delivers his lines, I mean, you can get quite a lot out of that. So I suggest everybody actively watch that man perform. Okay? And listen to how he delivers his lines and how he carries himself. I mean, the timing is beautiful. It really is. It just, you know, yeah. And here's the thing. When you're active listening, you can still be entertained by it, but you'll be learning the whole time. But yeah, I took that in. That's why I was saying put on your best John Cleese, is because it kind of has that feel to it. You know, because, I mean, he's looking totally serious. He's got the suit and the tie on, you know. And then, of course, he starts doing that. I mean, if you could see this visually, or, I mean, literally, I mean, a cartoon character that may look like him, and he's prancing around the restaurant the whole time, you know, like he's, you know, sticking the soup spoon up his nose and then, you know, flinging butter across the room. And you just picture that in your head as you're doing it. It adjusts your whole delivery.
All right, so try to like create imagery in your head as you're reading.
Yeah, yeah. And really, I suggest, and you should do this with everything you ever read. You know, because most of the time, what we are doing as voice actors is painting a picture. You know, for the listener to see in their minds. You know, and in this case, let's say this is a radio spot, okay? Let's just say that. It may not be, but it probably is. So we want the guy driving home from work in his car to have to pull over. He's laughing so hard. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're not even trying to be funny. Don't even act like you're trying to be funny. You know, just take the flow of the script and go with it. But you create that imagery, you know, because I mean, he's very descriptive here. Grasping this fork between thumb and forefinger, you know, and it's like it's saying it's lying horizontally across the plate. I mean, it's telling you exactly where everything is. You know, also, that's a clue. You know, if it's being that descriptive, it's more than likely radio. You know, unless they wanted it to be that elaborate for video. But, you know, most of the time, we're doing what I've heard Nancy Wolfson call referencing. So, you know, and so you're seeing this image above you, and you're pointing to that image. You know, and it which there's a ton of tongue in cheek, but you know, of course, the ad-libbing the chicken noises, they may not want you to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, no, we'll throw that in on our own.
Okay.
Just say clucking like a chicken, you know, and then they'll throw in the Foley. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
I remember doing this one before, or at least hearing it before.
You probably did.
Yeah.
So you're familiar. So you get all the references?
Sort of.
Well, with that said, take it away, Takia.
All right. When dining formally, in order to avoid embarrassing utensil faux pas, observe the following protocol. Beginning by locating the seafood fork, which lies horizontally across your plate. Grasping this fork between your thumb and forefinger, proceed to shove it into the ear Proceed to shove it into the ear of the person directly to your left. Next, to impress business associate, stick your spoon up your nose and exclaim, "Look at me, I'm a bowl of soup." When the entree arrives, use the butter to catapult particular juicy portions onto the bobbling heads of nearby diners. Finally, quietly finish with the dessert utensils found at the top of your plate. All the while, of course, making odd gurgling noises and clucking like a chicken. This lesson in table etiquette had been brought to you by Linguini and Bob, who invite you to enjoy serious Italian food in a not-so-serious atmosphere. Linguini and Bob, now open at Butler Square in Minneapolis.
Very good confidence, Takia.
Thanks.
Now, here's what I want you to do. Remember the improv?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Are you talking about the improv script thingy that we did?
Yeah, well, see, here's what I want you to do. I want you to blend a little bit of improv into this, okay? Because you are, on that first chunk of the copy, is you are a character, okay? And just relax yourself a little bit. Did fantastic, though. You kept your pacing really good without, I mean, even though you tripped over a word, you picked it up and you kept moving.
Okay.
So, good job.
Thanks.
But say, take it one more time.
Okay. While dining formally, in order to avoid an embarrassing fashion faux pas. Pick up. When dining formally, in order to avoid an embarrassing utensil faux pas, observe the following protocol. Begin by locating the seafood fork with lies pick up with lies horizontally across your plate, grasping the fork between your thumb and forefinger. Proceed to shove it into the ear of the person directly to your left. Next, to impress business associates, stick your soup spoon up your nose and exclaim, "Look at me, I'm a bowl of soup." While the entree arrives, use the butter spreader to catapult particular juicy portions onto the bobbling heads of nearby diners. And finally, quietly finish with the dessert utensil found at the top of your plate. All the while, of course, making odd gurgling noises and clucking like a chicken. This lesson in table etiquette has been brought to you by Linguini Bob, who invite you to enjoy serious Italian food in a not-so-serious atmosphere. Linguini Bob, now open at Butler Square in Minneapolis.
I like that flight attendant style you just added to it.
Thanks.
I don't know if anybody else caught that, but it sounded like that, you know.
Yeah, I heard that.
That was fantastic.
Cool. Thanks.
Sounds like Takia has been practicing.
All right, but
Yeah.
is it etiquette or etiquette?
It's
I think
etiquette.
It's etiquette.
I mean, you said etiquette, so watch out for that.
Ooh. Okay.
Etiquette.
Potato, tomato, tomato.
Yeah.
It's a little kid trying to say etiquette, and their little brother comes in and pokes them.
Yeah.
Etiquette!
Yeah.
Alrighty then. So catch me up. Who's gone? Who hasn't?
Okay.
Oh,
Takia
hello.
just
there.
went in. Guess what, Michael?
It's
You
my
just
turn,
arrived.
isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Woo-hoo.
All right. Well, let's dive right into it.
Okay.
When dining formally, in order to avoid an embarrassing utensil faux pas, observe the following protocol. Begin by locating the seafood fork, which lies horizontally across your table. Grasping this fork between thumb and forefinger, proceed to shove it into the ear of the person directly to your left. Next, to impress business associates, stick your soup spoon up your nose and exclaim, "Look at me, I'm a bowl of soup!" When the entree arrives, use the butter spreader to catapult particularly juicy portions onto the balding heads of nearby diners. And finally, quietly finish with the dessert utensils found at the top of your plate. All the while, of course, making odd gurgling noises and clucking like a chicken. This lesson in table etiquette has been brought to you by Linguini and Bob, who invite you to enjoy serious Italian food in a not-so-serious atmosphere. Linguini and Bob, now open at Butler Square in Minneapolis.
Now, see, there is what I was talking about with the John Cleese style. And yet no British accent. Michael just did that.
You're welcome.
I was just giving them covering that before you came, was using that, where we always get this in the spec, has to sound like, which they don't mean do an impression of.
Yeah, yeah.
And I guarantee this said John Cleese somewhere in the spec, but it meant his style, the way he carries himself, the way he falls apart, which references Faulty Towers. And like I said before, everybody who's watching on YouTube, if you have not seen Faulty Towers, where have you been? What rock are you living under? Go watch that series. If I'm not mistaken, it's on Netflix. Go check it out and watch it actively as actors, because you can learn a lot from that man.
Well, here, I remember from the several times we've done this one in the past, I remember the feel that I've been trying to go for this whole time, and now I think I actually have the finesse and refinement to do it. It's totally like, it's supposed to be this really educational piece, but very, very off the wall.
Yeah.
That's the whole point, because of the wrap-up at the very end. Like, that's the story. The story is, this is supposed to be educational, it's supposed to come off as serious, but it is absolutely not.
I could see myself doing this on camera, wearing my blue hair wig and my red nose.
Oh, there you go. Although I think you should start off being looking like, without that, looking very refined. And as you go along, you slowly put those things on off camera. So, randomly it shoots over to, a scene of this person, like poking the person to their left with their fork. And it comes back, and then you have a red nose on like nothing's happened.
Yeah. And continuing to be as serious as possible.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Although I could try it with the British accent if you guys would like.
Sure.
See if I can even carry that.
Go for it.
Now, I make no guarantees, but let's do this. Right. When dining formally, in order to avoid an embarrassing utensil faux pas, observe the following protocol. Begin by locating the seafood fork, which lies horizontally across your plate. Grasping this fork between thumb and forefinger, proceed to shove it into the ear of the person directly to your left. Next, to impress business associates, stick your soup spoon up your nose and exclaim, "Look at me, I'm a bowl of soup!" When the entree arrives, use the butter spreader to catapult particularly juicy portions onto the balding heads of nearby diners. And finally, quietly finish with the dessert utensils found at the top of your plate. All the while, of course, making odd gurgling noises and clucking like a chicken. This lesson in table etiquette has been brought to you by Linguini and Bob, who invite you to enjoy serious Italian food in a not-so-serious atmosphere. Linguini and Bob, now open at Butler Square in Minneapolis.
Nice job.
I think you carried it.
You stayed glued to your accent.
I've been practicing it.
Didn't slide off into Australia, mate.
Oh, man. Yeah, remember when that happened? Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, I'll do a British accent, mate. Crikey. It's my best British accent.
I don't know. I was playing with something earlier today and slipped off into Irish.
Oh, that's when you know you have a good day, when suddenly you turn Irish.
I'm sitting here and I'm like talking to the computer, talking to the software, and it's like, all I want you to do is behave for me. It's like, where did I come from? All right, then, I'm going to be Irish for the rest of the day.
I'll take the Scottish.
Well,
makes good sense.
You know what? Next time we have one of these mic checks right around St. Patrick's Day, we need to choose something and have everybody do it in their best Irish accent.
I
don't want it to I don't want it to come off as offensive, though. So there's
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Find an old Lucky Charms commercial. Well, that would be fun.
That would be awesome. All right, give me the entire script. They're always after me Lucky Charms. Anyway, let's go ahead and move away from that now before we before anybody takes that personally. So, everybody else is gone.
Yes.
I stumbled in right at the end.
Yeah, right at the end. It's
Awesome.
been a rather short one, but a fun one.
Oh.
Hey, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, and we had some good discussion on acting because, well, as I've said multiple times and will continue to say, is we are actors, regardless of the fact that we're not standing in front of a camera or on a stage. You know, our stage happens to be most of the time a 4x4 box with a microphone in front of us.
Yeah.
Which means that, honestly, that brings out more of the actor in us because there's less room for mistakes. Yeah, who did I hear say that? I might have been Nancy Wolfson, but on camera, it's like a flip of the hair. You can smile a certain way, and that kind of hides things if you smudge a little bit. When you're on microphone, nothing is hidden.
Yeah, this is very, very true. As a voice actor, you're an actor first, and you're an actor first.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah. Somebody asked me one time what I do. I said, well, I work in television and I'm an actor.
Great. What cartoons have you been?
And then I had to explain I act on microphone. Huh? Yeah.
And then people don't quite get it. Wait, what?
Yeah. One of these we need to make it a trend. Literally, we need to make it a trend and call ourselves actors publicly all the time. And maybe one of these days it'll just start to sink in. Oh, hey, this guy's an actor. I may not have seen him anything, but I sure have heard him, and I know he can act. So hey,
yeah, that's one of the issues that I have with people describing us as voiceovers or whatever else, because we produce voiceover, but we're actors.
Yeah,
like that's part of the DNA of what we do. I mean, yes, we have we're focusing on a very specific role. We're focusing on voice delivery, and that does have some differences to on-screen acting, but it's acting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I think the weirdest term that I've ever heard anybody refer to themselves as in the voiceover realm is a voiceoverist.
A voiceoverist.
I've
never heard that one before.
Yeah, voiceoverist.
I always say I'm a voice actor.
Yeah, same here. It's because it's more accurate. You're an actor, but you focus more on your voice.
It's embedded in my website, Nathan Cundiff, voice actor.
Well, keep it that way.
Yes. Goes all the way back to when I first built it. And I think I got a little advice from Michael on that when I was putting it together, as a matter of fact. So thank you very much, Michael.
Hey, no problem.
Because I think you're the reason why I've got it that way.
I am always here to help.
So I appreciate that.
No problem at all.
I will say this, and I'm going to give big kudos to Michael here, and this is going out publicly to the whole world. This man has been a big help to me in the voiceover industry. Among other people. So has, and I'm going to give credit to you too, and you'll probably hear this too. But Angel Birch, she's a big help too, very big help, and
So Angel's great. She's awesome.
Two people that I'm really good friends with, and they are great people. And really, if you want to really ask any questions, these guys know their stuff. So there you go.
Well, we try to help out where we can.
We are all members of Voice Artists United, by the way. And if you join Voice Artists United and hook up with us on Facebook and check out our YouTube videos, find out more about us and come on over and get to know us. So I'm throwing that in there too before we get off of here. So.
We're always happy to help out. I'm always open to, to questions and to honest feedback and things like that. it's a passion. Voiceover is a passion of mine, and I want to help out where possible. So please
Absolutely.
join the mic check. Please
Oh,
go
yeah.
ahead and hit me up on Facebook. And my email address is also available on Voice Artists United. Feel free to contact me there. Wherever. Feel free to contact Nathan too. He's great for character development. I mean, if that's what you want to focus on, Nathan is totally he's in the zone when it comes to making characters, making and keeping them. So if that's something that you have difficulty with or something that you want to get into, contact him about that. He's obviously, as you could tell, he's a really fun guy to talk to. But anyway, Nathan, handing it back to you.
Okay. Well, anyway, with all of that, this is the end of a, albeit short mic check, but we will be back next week. Michael knows what we've got coming up. I don't know yet.
Only
Michael
I know
knows.
so far.
And I guarantee it's going to be a blast. So, hey, if you missed it this week, come on down. We are here every Monday, 7 o'clock Eastern. That's 4 o'clock Pacific.
Yep.
And it'll be great. More fun than the eclipse, believe me.
Hey, that was pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. So with that, we will see you guys next week.
See ya.